you say mountain, mountain, mountain.
Fire, what you saying?
Yeah, give thanks to life.
No, a serious thing. We are locked out, Fire. We are locked out of the studio. Yeah. So the vibe said. Fire, what are we reason about today?
Yeah, today we are reason about a topic that really, really dear to our heart.
It's dear to your heart. Yeah.
If it feels wrong, it's wrong. Like,
yeah.
my brethren, I said that to me from the other day, and I said, yo, this, it's simple, but it's so real. Like, you ever hear the voice in your head before, and you go against the voice inside of your head, and it's like, damn, here's trouble.
No, intuition, you know? I think that, I think as human beings, we don't acknowledge the ability that we have. Some people obviously are tapped in more than others.
Yeah.
But I think everyone has it. Even, you know what always cracked me up? I never, the movie Spider-Man, the spider senses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because serious thing, because you know how much places I left before like a big fight or it got shot up or something. It's like once I leave, it's like, yo, you just left. Boom, they shot up the place or they just had a big fight. And I just think that like, as you get older, I don't know if you just don't want to acknowledge it or you're so disconnected from it, but you're not in tune to it, but it is there, you know? And if we acknowledge it on our daily lives and we reflect and we have to laugh because sometimes something tell you certain things, Fire, and the universe gives you certain messages. What I've learned is this is not an absolute law. This is just from my experience. I'm not sure if anyone can relate. People usually don't get in trouble on the first time. It seems like the universe give you a blind, Fire.
Fucks.
You know? But when you keep doing stuff, you're going to get got. And people I know that get into trouble, they've been doing it a couple of times, Fire. But I don't know what it is about the first time. I don't know if you do stuff one-off, it don't really catch up with you. But when you do stuff consistently, because as you do it more and more, it tell you, don't do it. Stay away from it.
There's a
Slow
thing
down.
humans. There's a particular trait that we realize in most humans.
But we are headed.
Yeah, most humans like to go against the grain and try to, because of the curiosity amongst human beings. Like, okay, you know, if we go against what the thought in my head, everything might be all right. And because we realize that we went against the thought that is in our heads and things worked out, then know, okay, if it worked out that time, then it must work out this time.
Gamblers,
it's like the gambling. We become addicts to our curiosity. Because human beings have literally become addicts to their curiosity and that has gotten the best of them. And then with that now, it take you outside of yourself because one, every human being was, regardless if we know it or not, we were born with a moral compass. And that moral compass is not directly attached to any particular religion or philosophy that was brought on to you. That moral compass is there, given to you by the universe.
Yeah.
And with that moral compass being given to you by the universe, it's showing you that, okay, this intuition, this feeling that I'm having of this particular situation, I've never experienced it before. But this is what my gut tell me. This is this voice inside of my head. It knows what it's saying and it sounds so confident. Then why am I going against that?
As I stated before, we're taught not to listen to it. We're not trained to nurture it. We're not trained to have confidence in it. And we don't, like a relationship, we don't really have a good relationship with our intuition. You know, through repetition, we constantly, we deny it and disregard it. And like anyone, especially with relationships that go south far, right? A lot of people, at least they claim that they were warned.
Mm-hmm.
They were warned prior, you know, and it's whether the looks, you know, the treatment, the sex, because the sex seemed like it destroyed intuition with people. Yeah, It seemed like if it's a good sexual experience, they disregard their gut feeling. Or they feel things are going to work out. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know the proper terminology. I can use layman's term. I don't know any complicated spiritual wording to use. But God can talk about the voice and the natural mystic, and it's definitely there. And I think that the more you become confident, the closer you become with it and the more confident you come in it, it does guide you and it alleviates unnecessary headaches. Because if we're true, I could be truthful with myself. I don't know about the next person. I like to use myself as an example, but there are numerous times when I was pre-warned about stuff and I didn't listen for it. It wasn't like I wasn't warned. I was warned numerous times. And I didn't listen. And I had to go feel the pain. You know, and there are other instances where I listened and it just seemed like, you know, And not to say, oh, when you listen, life is glorious without problems, you know, but it kind of push you in a different realm that even you yourself weren't confident or unaware of what you should be doing, you know. But in retrospect now, because I was reading something and I forgot, but he was basically saying that I forgot who said it. I didn't say it, and I want to give credit, but forgot the person who said the idea. They're basically saying that you have to trust the universe that the dots will connect in the future, and it's only in the future that only as time passes and you look back, you can see how the dots connected. But you have to believe the dots will connect.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, you know?
And the intuition is leading you towards that lane where the dots connect. You can't see them connecting, but when you reflect now and say, yeah, that made sense. That was a proper move I made.
Your intuition is connected with your guilty conscience, you know, and that I think a lot of people, whether you want to admit it or not, there's a close relation between.
Elaborate more. What do you mean by that?
All right. You see, sometimes we do things and we know it's wrong.
All right.
And by knowing that it's wrong, here's what we do. We start hear that voice in our head leading us into a particular direction.
Are you trying to justify this?
And that there's a justification that's cling towards that. So a lot of people, it's almost like altering the natural state of things, forcing yourself and telling yourself that, okay, this is right. But you're forcing yourself to tell yourself that this is right because you know you're wrong. And then you make it sound like that's an intuition. There's a whole sense of pseudo-intuition in a sense where, oh, the voice inside my head told me to do this, but the voice inside your head didn't tell you to do that.
You're not connected with that voice.
You're just projecting, trying to project that energy as a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Not understanding that if you had truly listened to the voice inside the head, because there's a difference, you know. If you realize when you watch the movies and all that, you see the angel on one side, and you see them put the demon on one side. It's more like knowing that one is the fake, but you can't see him as real, because if you ever listen to this concept, it's telling you some sweet things that's encouraging and feeding your ego and feeding all of that ego, and then it's all right, this is what I'm going to do with that aggression filled with, while that next and the next side of your shoulder say, no man, calm down, don't do this.
Yeah.
And you really realize it. That is the true. There's two vices that come to you, but you have to learn how to decipher which is the true vice too.
And that ties in what I said earlier in regards to having that relationship with the intuition. I don't know what you would call it, spirit intuition, but it definitely needs to be nurtured. You need to become more familiar with it, because a lot of people are I want to be clear too, a lot of people are so disconnected they don't hear anything, right? But I want to jump back to something you said earlier in regards to like morality.
Yeah.
Like, because I think about it within myself sometimes. So it's like, you basically said, I'm paraphrasing that, you know, the universe provides you with like a moral compass.
Yeah.
That's universal. And like, I struggle with that idea. Reason being is that I think time, place, and culture dictates morality in a sense. Because say in America, right? Morality is circumstantial in a sense. So like people don't steal, a majority of people don't steal because they're scared of getting caught, right? Or, you know, a religious person doesn't do something because they're scared of the judgment of the deity that they worship. So the behavior is not done for the sake of the behavior, the fact that it's just, they know it's wrong, but it's the consequence that comes with it. If I'm making sense. Then you have another aspect if we break down morality in the sense that like, if I'm hungry, right, and there's food there and I steal it, is it necessarily an immoral act if I'm really hungry and I don't have access to resources versus I have a pocket full of money and I just steal it because?
So there I say,
you get what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's why this idea of morality is. And
you said the morality with that statement though, when we start about the internal the compass, where every human being come with, is more than just from a subjective standpoint or the environmental factors that come into play. It's more like there are things where protect the earth and preserve the earth. If you think about the direction of what the earth is. Like for instance, if a plant, some basic things, like if a plant seem like it had died, the first thing you gotta pray for do is give it water.
Yeah.
Who did tell us, who did teacher said, who taught you that the plant wanted water? It was a science experiment, really. Yeah. Human beings, we walk and talk and we live science experiments every single day. And most of those science experiments don't necessarily come off of something that was taught to us or a particular situation that we were in per se. It's just the universal law of the earth which kind of guide that direction. So even though morality was mentioned, and morality is often a subjective thing, there's an external morality that is connected to the earth, and it's morality in the sense of the preservation of the ecosystem that we live in that confines the subjective morality.
I ask another question, right? Just to be devil's advocate today. Right? All right. So we mentioned the earth, right? And like, I'm not a scientist or a biologist or anything, but a simple man. And based on the information that I know, I don't think resources are equally distributed amongst plants on earth, right? They use different levels of nutrients, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one could argue that this like this whole idea of this like equal self-sustenance is not necessarily in earth from a basic plants, from what I understand. Like they suck a different amount of energy, and some may not necessarily get what they want, even though they may be in the same environment naturally on Earth.
That's why I'm saying no. Say that bigger than me and you.
Yeah.
There are certain things that we can do within that grand scheme to help things balance.
Yeah.
That's bigger than us. While we think about morality from the basic standpoint, no, we really talk about, so based off of this, to me, this seems right, this seems wrong. But when we talk about the earth itself, certain things that can guide our direction as human beings, that outside of our control, because I get to, and remember, it's not a concept of just being equal, because I tell people all this time, it's not just about equality, it's about equity.
Facts.
So even if certain resources are not brought onto certain plants within the general environment, if you think about it now, the purpose that it serves within that environment is a purpose that outdo every single thing within the space. So it's so important within that space that it trumps everything else, and the equality don't even matter no more, because it's the amount of value that it can bring towards you within that space. And life always come back at you that way. So that's why when we talk about the vice inside of the head, we have to realize that these aren't just things that were taught to you. Sometimes the vice inside of your head is something that is bigger than you as the individual, bigger than everybody that you've interacted with. And it's leading you towards some form. I don't know if it's cosmic or some would call it, but it's leading you towards something outside of what you've been taught. And that's how human beings learn new things, just by the earth itself.
And the idea of morality, right? Like, I say we're born with morality, but it's like, it seems that a lot of people have to, I don't know if they have to relearn it or learn it. That's the thing. I don't know if you have to relearn it or learn it. I don't know if it's like, because the environment that you're in there's no really certain behaviors going on, and you're taught different things. And what you believe is moral is not necessarily moral. You always hear people about it. Like, you have to relearn. So like, I had to relearn a lot of stuff that I was exposed to as a child. And I always wonder, man, it's just like, are you really born with a moral compass deeper than what society tells you? Then even based on what society tells you, the subculture within your culture, your neighborhood, your household, because that's another set of morals that we may identify as morals that's not necessarily moral. Then as you get older, you have to relearn them, because you say, fight, this can't work.
Yeah, because the earth broad, and every subgroup and every culture took something from the earth itself outside of what was just given to them. So we think about that. Like, if you ever see, most people always say, when we get in trouble, even as a Jamaican, our culture, people say, I should have followed my mind.
Yeah.
Then if you didn't follow your mind, what did you follow? If you didn't follow your mind, that means you followed an agenda that was given to you.
Yeah.
And what does it really mean to follow your mind? Because I never know that you have something else than following your mind. That, so, like, there's a brain inside of your head that leads the direction of your body. And if you didn't follow the mind, which is connected to the brain, then what did you really, really follow? When you
I guess that's the source of the intuition in regards to, again, being connected, because you definitely get a guidance there. We won't call it universe. There's so many things you could call it, right? But you have to really work to hear it. Then when you hear it, you have to trust it. I think that's the biggest problem people have, like trusting it. And I think the problem they have with trusting is that the time frame it takes for things to kind of work out where it makes sense for you. Because usually when we hear trusting now, like, man, it's like, far, don't go to the store, right? You expect like a bus to hit you at that moment, right? But it may be something 5 years down the road that happens because you didn't go to that store. But you can't connect it to the 5 years down the road. And I think that's what leads to the lack of confidence in that voice. The turnaround period of you understanding why.
Sometimes we have too much things in our brain, too much voices. So like deciphering between which voice is right from wrong, it becomes this complex task. And this is just within your mind internally, not even anything you express verbally, So with all of these voices, and then there's also that historical context that we have to put into the thing too. Yeah. There's been a lot of false alarm throughout the course of history, whether it be through a scared mother who always bring on some form of,
scary parents.
I had this voice in my head that told me this, so it stopped you from doing something. Then
church vibe.
And it really take an effect on people. So with that being said, now, whenever they hear that voice or that intuition is actually being brought to them now, it seems like it's another false alarm. And that's what we call running from yourself.
You brought up a great point, man, and I just want to say this again, is that I think that's why you have to learn to figure out how to like quiet yourself, to first identify what voices are coming from. Where is this a voice of bad experience from the past, a traumatic voice, as you said, the parent that instills the fear in the child, or is this a genuine voice? And I think that's where you have to like learn yourself better and spend time to figure out what's the origins of these things that's going on there. And it can be done. You get what I'm saying? And I keep repeating this, but I think it's very important to learn yourself. Because when you learn yourself, you learn the voices. And you can identify, like I can identify when a voice in my head is from fear. I've been working on it so much. You get what I'm saying? And it's not foolishness. I can identify where it's like, or this is my ego, really. This is not me, bro. This is like, this is not a genuine thought. This is being fueled by other things that's probably not the best for me. But it's the consistency in that relationship where I can identify each thing. And I'm encouraging people to work on, and it comes from being quiet. Like you have to really, and when I say be quiet, you necessarily don't have to be quiet all the time, but you have to learn to quiet your mind, meaning that you may have to distance yourself from certain conversations, may have to distance yourself from certain things, and just try to keep your mind present. The longer you can keep your mind present during the day, whether it's 5 minutes. If you could do 5 minutes, that's better than 0 time, But get that consistency of being present and quiet your mind and asking, like, what is the origin of this idea? Where is this coming from? I'm going to give you an example right now, right? Say say something's there, right? Like I'm pressuring myself because I feel I should be doing something. Question I'm asking myself is, why do I feel I need to do this? Do I feel I need to do this because I'm trying to actually accomplish something? Am I trying to prove something? Is there some insecurity I feel like, by proving this, I validate myself? Am I trying to get validation from somewhere else? Is it like, what is the reason for this action? Like, these are the conversations, because it's too much conversation with other people. We need to have more conversations with ourselves to understand. And the more you do it and the more repetition you have, just like anything, you become better. Hence what I was saying earlier, you can really identify the voice. But before you can get to that point, you have to listen to yourself and interact with the voices to see, like, where is this coming from?
As you talk, a thought come to my brain, right? People always have this obsession with data, right?
Yeah.
But nobody really understands the concept of data sources. I think there is no data without data sources.
Yeah.
And multiple players can be there to house multiple data. But until you understand your data sources, then there's no true way of seeing the light. Because there's all of this raw data. What are you gonna do with all of this raw data? And remember, raw data, some of it is useful, some of it is not useful, or at least right now.
Yeah.
But understanding what's useful, that you can use this as the basis, the foundation of whatever you will be collecting, whatever information you will be collecting. This is the basis of it. And then once you understand that, now, how am I going to develop that and transform it to the ultimate level where we can start load that in now for process certain information? So people don't think about the steps involving all of these things. And that is what I feel needs to be done to address the concept of multiple voices inside your head.
Analyze your data. Right. Analyze your database and the sources of your data.
Yeah.
Facts.
Very important.
I like that one.
Very important.
I like that one. Yeah, serious thing, you know. Yeah, we encourage people to tap into your spiritual aspect, if you want to say spiritual intuition, whatever it is, the inner voice, the universe, but you really need to tap into it. Not saying that your life is going to be. That's the next thing too I want to clarify. What's the time? That's the next thing I want to clarify. A lot of people think when they hear these conversations, by doing this, oh, my life is going to be grand and stress-free. No, that's not the case. You're still going to have problems. You get what I'm saying? But you're going to have less problems and different type of problems, and you're going to have more understanding on how to navigate those problems. You period.
So it's just important. You know why you're saying what you just said a while ago? Very, very important, because you see, enough people don't understand. In life, you can still listen to that voice inside of your head.
Facts.
And the results won't come out necessarily chirpy and happy all the time.
I think
and
everybody
can't stand that.
You know what it is, Farai? Everyone's looking for perfection. Everyone's looking for a life without problems and struggles. I can't even say problems, difficulties. Everyone's looking for a life without difficulties, and I think that's why most people avoid things, because they're trying to create this bubble around them where nothing's going to happen, everything's going to be okay, and that's just not life. I'm not telling anyone to run out there and find problems, but at the same time, you have to be accepting that things are going to be difficult, because it's just life. You're dealing with human beings who are very complex.
Very.
You're dealing with an earth that is very complex. You have less control than what you think. So you have to be open and accept certain things that come. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you can try your best to minimize stuff, but you just have to be open. I think that acceptance that everything is not going to be merry and great will calm you to understand that, hey, I'm confident enough to know that what does come, I have the strength and the knowledge to get through it. But me trying to avoid everything, that's because when you get into that realm now, you don't do anything because you're so terrified, you're so crippled by fear, and you end up putting yourself in even more problems due to the fear of trying to avoid other stuff. It's like you run yourself into other things.
Yeah. I know what most people don't get is that perfection itself is imperfect.
Big time. Yo, you know this brother just said that during the interview? I agree.
Seriously?
Yeah.
See there?
He said the perfection is in the he said he was talking about Midnight, basically saying that, because I was telling him how some of the how did you deal with Vaughn Benjamin, because some of the productions, vocally, it is what it is. Yeah. It's not melodic, right? And he said, truthfully, the brethren whole approach was, even if it was a mistake in the song, because he would be like, oh, we need to fix it. He would be like, no, because the perfection is in the imperfection.
Yeah, and it's very evident all across the board. And enough time people don't understand that. Like, we think about the concept of chaos.
Yeah.
Sometimes even the most organized and thing with set patterns is still very chaotic. And we have to understand that in order to understand life. Because you see, if we don't do that, then we're going to have made so much disappointments, and then that disappointment are going to lead to further voices inside of the head, which are going to confuse you even more, and you don't know which one to follow.
Serious
and then when you say, does this feel wrong?
Yeah.
You can't even answer.
You can't get to the tip. Yeah. And that ties into, man, this expectation thing.
Mm-hmm.
Balance the expectation and balancing the polarity of outcomes, or the duality of outcomes. I think that'll keep your pressure down too, because I think so many people are tied into, this is what I learned in my life, man. You can't be tied into one outcome.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. You can want that outcome, but you have to be open to other stuff happening for you.
Imagine a man training every single day as an athlete and still go out on the pitch and lose a match. Yeah. What's perfection?
Or fire. What about my brethren that got to train for the Olympics? Then when he go run, he pull his hamstring.
All right.
In 5 seconds within the race.
All right.
It's just life, fire. It's just life, man. It's just life, I just think that.
But I just want to tell people the same way, regardless of life being that way, based on what you know and based on what you've assessed, once you have a level and a clear head, if something feels wrong, that gut feeling tell you that, no, this is not something that I should be doing.
You may want to avoid it.
Yeah, avoid it, please.